Welcome to Guy Code, a podcast dedicated to imparting dad wisdom to my son, with your host, Koji Steven Sakai, and friends.
All righty. Welcome. This is episode number 27 of the Guy Code, and I'm your host, Koji. And today I'm super excited to have my co-host from the Best or Worst Pod. And if you don't listen to that, listen to it. Go to www.bestorworstpod.com. You can see all our episodes. You can hear all our episodes, and you can subscribe there. But and Martin Mapoma, welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is fun. I've been dying to do this.
Yeah, now you're a guest as opposed to a host.
Wow,
so it's totally different. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, let's see. Well, my name is Martin Mapoma. I live in California. Let's see. Originally from Zambia, Africa. Moved here, went to college, studied architecture. After I finished school, moved to Chicago, became an actor. And I've been an actor for 25 years. Excuse me about that. About 25 years. I'm also a strength and oh my God.
Okay.
I got the COVIDs. I'm also a strength and conditioning specialist. Just living life, raising my son, living with my wife.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of fun. I met Koji a while back. Both our kids do jiu-jitsu together. And he knows I like to talk, and why not? So
perfect.
Oh, and I am an aspiring grill master.
Yeah.
Side note, I've actually almost mastered the if you ever go up a Korean barbecue, how you get the steamed egg?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've almost mastered how to make that. Pretty good. First time I did it was a little dry. Yesterday it was on point. Michelle was actually like, "Wow, honey, that's."
Do you go to H Mart?
I love H Mart.
Oh, okay.
H Mart and Tokyo Market too.
Tokyo Market.
Yeah, the one in Tokyo.
Little Tokyo. Little Tokyo.
Little Tokyo.
Little Tokyo Town.
Is it Tokyo Town? Oh,
actually, that's been excised from Little Tokyo. It's not really part of Little Tokyo anymore.
It's no,
because
I go to both. It's funny.
Well, the reason why being that it's Korean. That building was bought by. It used to be a Japanese market, Yahan Plaza.
Oh yeah.
And then it got bought by a Korean company, and then there's basically not part of Little Tokyo anymore because there's still drama between Japanese and Korean people apparently.
Yeah, apparently there is. Apparently there's just drama between Koreans and every other Asian community. Apparently.
No. Japanese and everybody is really because of what happened during World War II. I mean, Japanese did terrible things, and they're basically the Nazis of Asia. And there's nobody talks about it because America became allies with Japan after the war. But I mean, they committed atrocities and killed and raped and pillaged a ton of people, and that's why typically in Asia is the only place where when I go to visit, it's better for me to be American than Japanese.
Really?
Because I mean, as American, I mean, they might not like me, but at least they don't hate me.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas most of the other places, if I go to when I've gone to Israel, I say I'm Japanese because it's just easier. Or if I go to a Middle Eastern country, I'm Japanese. It's just a lot easier. But in Asia,
do the Israelis hate the Japanese?
No. Well, it's not that they hate Americans, but it's just it's like nobody really cares about Japan anymore as like a world power kind of thing. Yeah. Whereas America still, you either love them or you hate us, right? But in Asia, it's still a thing.
Do the Japanese know about the camps in Germany? Do you think they knew about those at the time of the war?
I mean, the relationship between Japan and Germany is very complicated, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think that Germany saw Japan as equal partners.
No, obviously they didn't.
Right? Because they were not Aryan, and it was more of the fact that they just didn't want to get involved in the Pacific. Was more than anything else, and they wanted to lure America into kind of a prolonged second front, I think, more than they cared about Japan. So
what was the deal with the Japanese joining the Germans? I never understood that.
Well, I think it's because they just didn't like America, and also the world power. I mean, a lot of it stems from World War I, right? Do you know in World War I, Japan joined the Allies in World War I, and when they're splitting up all the colonies and the countries and stuff. They didn't give anything to Japan, which was a slight because it's we were one of the people, right? And then so because of that, it just proved to them that they weren't part of that group, and so they're like, well, we're gonna take it. going to do whatever we want. And so I think that they just saw that as like a slap to the face.
Big time.
And so they decided to not want, and then America was like, by then America had already cut oil, like an oil embargo, and they were doing all these things in the Pacific. I mean, obviously, like, it was stupid for Japan to attack the United States, but it was what it was. But anyway, sorry. Let's get back to let's get back to you.
Yeah. Wow. All right, let's get back to me.
Well, so we're here to do advice for my son,
and my son,
and your son. So why don't you start with a piece of advice, and we can kind of talk about it.
Piece of advice. Girls. Let's talk about girls. You know, I think I was always horrible with girls. I was not a smooth talker. You know, I think a lot of my advice to my kid will come from me trying to explain to him that he has to be confident. You know, if he's confident, he won't put up with a lot of stupid stuff, because I was so insecure that whenever I got a girlfriend and she happened to be pretty, I was so hell-bent on holding on to them that I'll put up with so much ridiculous stuff. I don't know what's going on with me today. You know, so I think for my son, I would tell him, you know, you just gotta be careful. You just gotta be careful. You know, someone once told me, Jesus.
You okay?
I don't know what's going on. Yeah, I think I'm okay. Someone once said to me, if you treat the ugly girls like they're beautiful and treat the beautiful girls like they're ugly, that you always make out just fine. Because I understand the theory. Beautiful girls hear it all the time. And not that they all have automatic egos, but, you know, when they're used to hearing it all the time, it carries no weight. But, you know, most girls aren't attractive. You know, if you treat them like they are attractive, it's basically you're treating them with respect.
Yeah.
That they deserve anyway.
It's funny because I was just listening to our episode 5 from Best or Worst podcast. I was just reading the transcription, and we had this conversation. So I think it's really funny that we're coming back to it. So I think it's good because
that's right.
I love it though. But I agree with you. I think that's really important advice. And so the advice I always give around that is that, you know, that everyone's replaceable.
Yeah,
right?
That's right. You always said that everyone's replaceable.
Everyone's replaceable. That means that no one's so special that they could treat you badly because there's somebody also better that could replace, that's the same or better than that person out there. Yeah. And then obviously the term that I always say is that you yourself are replaceable, so you can't be a dick about things either. But, but I think that's where when women get mad at me where I say people are replaceable, I say, well, it's conversely true too, that you so that means that you have to be nice or else that person could replace you as well. But and I think, oh, good.
You know, I was gonna say, if someone had told me that 25 years ago or even 30 years ago, it would have been, you know, I always say this, that the path that I've taken brought me to Michelle and brought Grayson to me. So I always feel like it was the right path.
Yeah.
But boy, I would have made a lot of different choices if I had been a lot more secure. Trust me, a lot better choices. You know, and hindsight's always 2020. But, you know, I look back on, you know, on relationships I had. I had a girlfriend, you know, in college. I was in the fraternity for a couple of years. And I look back at the things that I put out, I just laugh at myself like, Jesus, so insecure and just so happy to be in the wrong place, you know, and, you know, in the relationships in Chicago when I was there. You know, most of them, you know, it was funny because I always treated, you know, the ones that should have been treated with respect, I was so horrible to them. And the ones that deserved little to no respect from me, I was that clinger. Like, please, 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 you know. Yeah. You know, and I really, I just lost who I was. Yeah. You know, I lost who I was as a person. Yeah. And again, looking, huh?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I mean, me too. I just spent, you know, like, I think a lot of kids at like 16, like horny little boys are, you know, they spend so much time trying to, like, you know, get together with somebody that it's like I just, you know, my advice is always around, don't, you know, the less time you actually spend, it's like there's an inverse relationship, right? Where the less you try, the more you get in return. Oh yeah. So, you know, like my thing is like, you know, if I spent more time just worrying about my life and my career and my stuff, I would have actually ended up being more successful in that department than me trying. Cause, you know, like I'm working out. Why am I working out? Not to get better shape, but to be able to like, why am I going to this party? It's because, you know, like, why am I doing this? Why am I hanging out with these people? Why do I talk like this? Whereas if I was just myself, you know, and I think in that episode 5, also I talked about one of my best friends his like it always worked. He'd go up to a girl at a club and he'd say, "I'm never dancing with you. I don't think you're hot at all." And then he'd walk away and she'd be like, "What?" Like, and then by the end of the night, they're like dancing together.
Did that ever backfire on him?
Yeah, there's some girls that saw through it. But then the funny thing is they come up to him later and go like, "I know what you're trying to do." But it worked because now they're coming and talking to him. You know? Like, and then he'd be like, "I don't want to have this conversation with him." The more he didn't want to have this conversation with him, the more they wanted to have the conversation with him. It's just, you know, it's like, it's so funny because it's just really, it was just really, I mean, it was eye-opening at the time.
You have to be good looking. You have to be good looking, dude.
He wasn't that good looking. He was a little guy. And
right.
he had a lot of confidence. I mean, it was confidence.
No, dude, confidence.
Right.
Is
it was
key,
that,
man.
and it's like, I mean, it's, you know, I remember maybe a couple years ago, back when we could actually go out in the world. I remember I had a meeting I was at a bar and I had like an hour to kill before my next meeting. So I was at the bar and I was reading a book, like a real book. And I remember these women wanted, like, were talking to me about it. And then like, I was just like really irritated because I just wanted to read my book and wait for my meeting. And I didn't want to talk to them. And I was telling one of my single friends who's super desperate. Like, I was like, yeah, just bring a book to a bar and you'll like talk to girls. And so he brought a book to a bar. And then like, he said, nobody, like later he's like, it didn't work. And I was like, well, were you reading the book? You know, like, and he's like, no. I'm like, well, you can't just bring a book.
He just put it on the.
No, he was actually like flipping through it. I was like, no, like the difference was I actually didn't want to talk to them. So the more I didn't want to talk to them, the more they wanted to talk to me. And I was like,
wow.
Because I really wanted to read the book. I had no reason to talk to these people, you know. I just wanted to finish this book. And so it's just funny because you're right. I think it's about that confidence. It's about that. Like,
it is, dude. It
know.
is. I worked with a guy when I first moved here to LA, and he was Mexican. And I say this to be, he was just really short, and he wasn't really a handsome guy. But this guy, man, he had swagger. I remember, you know, he was sleeping with all the girls we worked with. It was hilarious. I mean, and some of these girls were hot. And I was like, how is he doing this? He was just like just one night stands, and you know, I had the idea that if he could do it, I could. I failed miserably because I must have come across as so desperate. Sorry, I must have come across as so desperate. But to this day, I'll never forget that. You know, I mean, whenever people talk about confidence with girls, I always think about this. My buddy, and I see him all the time still. And I always think, this guy, man, he just you'd look at him and be like, what?
Yeah.
He just had swagger, dude, and it worked for him.
Yeah, there's
and I would go to the same girls that he was trying to hit on, that he would sleep with. I would fail miserably, and I don't get it. You know, I'm in good shape, I'm not a bad looking guy. What's happening? It just didn't matter, dude.
Yeah, there's this girl at Santa Barbara where, you know, you see Santa Barbara, everybody was super attractive, especially the women. But this one girl, her name was Laura, and she wasn't the most attractive lady in the world, especially compared to all the others at Santa Barbara. Yeah. But she had the dopest personality. Like, seriously, like, not just because, like you say, people have dope personalities and because they're not attractive, but this person just was like magical. Like, you just wanted to be around her, and all her friends were these incredibly beautiful women, but the only one that had a lot of dates was her. I mean, like, the hottest guy, I had a crush on her. Everyone had a crush on her. The hottest guys I knew were like kind of trying to get her to, and it taught me, like, you know, especially when I have like friends who are like a bit overweight and then they'd be bitter and angry about things. I'm like, just look at Laura. You know, like, she is so awesome. Like, I mean, just like magically awesome person. And somehow she's able to pull off all these different guys, and every single guy's like falling all over themselves to like date this girl. Yeah. And it was just amazing. I mean, like, I've never met anybody like her before after that. So I think it might be a one-time thing. But
are you still friends with her?
No, not really. I mean, we're not friends, but you know, it's not, we just kind of fell out of touch. But some other advice. What's some other advice you have?
Some other advice. Well, we both have children of color.
Okay.
My other advice to my son is don't give up. You know, work. He's got to work hard. He can't take the easy road, and that's a constant battle. You know, with him. You know, I'm a big believer. He's totally watching me. You know, he needs to dig in, to hunker down and really do the hard work. You know, I want him to be a worker, a hustler, you know, because I was not that way until later on in life. And, you know, it didn't work. You have to work, you know. There's a great line Woody Harrelson's talking to someone. I can't remember what movie it is. And, he was the owner of this company. And, this guy he was bringing up was asking all these crazy questions. He goes, look, he said, I think he said he had like three rules. You want to be rich, work your fucking ass off. You want to get the hot girl, you have to have confidence. It was 3 things, but the first one was the great. If you want to be rich, you have to work your ass off.
Yeah.
And that's this guy was saying. Most people that I know, especially people that have created their own wealth, the hours they work. I had a client who, sold his company for X millions of dollars, and he could retire at 50. But I remember he was always working, always. I mean, he, I remember, his wife had one of their kids. He basically said, he went downstairs to sleep in his another room, and he was like, I have a company to run. And my wife got that. But this guy worked always. He was always working. And he'd work Saturday and Sunday as well, constantly. But it paid off for him, And I've never met anybody, because of what I do, as a strength coach, and because of what I charge, I attract a certain clientele. And all of my clients that are successful and have, certain amount of wealth, there's, including my wife, there's a common thread with them. These guys, they work constantly. Yeah. Saturday and Sunday are work days too for them to a certain degree. They're always working. And that's why, and that's why when I see people who come from money that, have wealth generated for them, it's they never get the same respect from me. Unless they're, people who come from money who still work hard.
Yeah.
And I know a few people like that. I know brothers like that. One of them came from wealth but still works his ass off. One doesn't. But, it's those guys have my respect. But the ones that, come from wealth and don't really work for it and feel like they've, they can never say that, they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps.
Yeah.
So that's a long way around the same point I'm making. I'm making sure that my kid is a worker. Yeah. I'm teaching them you have to dive into the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Don't look for the easy route out because, no one's going to remember the easy, a person took the easy route. If something's difficult, try and figure it out. If not, just, ask for help.
This is very close to my heart. This is the thing that me and my son we get in arguments about, but it's really important to me. Like it's even at jiu-jitsu. It's like he could fight somebody he knows he could beat, or he could fight the guy that's going to beat him. And I want him to choose the guy that's going to beat him because that's exactly better. And I think that in life, that's what's going to happen. And I think it's really, really important that you have to push because champion is, I don't care if you come from money or not, but if you're a champion, you have to fight, you have to crawl. Everyone's going to say no to you. Everyone's going to think that you're crazy. Yeah. And, and
I wish I'd been given that talk, when I was growing up, but I wasn't, I was never geared to be that way. This is a great, and it's a great meme, fuck luck. I live for the hustle.
Yeah.
And it's a rapper. It's a rapper. Big dude, big beard, big sunglasses. You'd know if I remember his name.
But Rick Ross?
Huh?
Rick Ross?
Rick Ross. You know what I'm talking about? He's shirtless and he's just standing there. Fuck luck. I live for the hustle.
Yeah. He was also a probation officer, just to put it out there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. He's something else, man. Every day I'm hustling. I have a friend of mine, a brother, one of my brother's former neighbors are really, really tight. We're still friends. Dude, first of all, she has an amazing catering company, but she is the consummate hustler. Yeah. And I used to always, on Facebook, I'd always, whenever she'd do something, I'd always say, every day I'm hustling. That was my slogan for her. Whenever I'd see her, I'd always chant that to her.
Yeah.
And now her event planning company is like through the roof, dude. She's doing events for huge celebrities. Her company's called Wife of the Party. But I remember when she first started, dude, and she just hustled. And she's one of the people that I've always had mad respect for. And I want my son to have that kind of hustle in him. Yeah. Well, that's a big difference. And he's got to be a hustler. You got to, I want my son to be a grinder. I want him to be able to grind. Michelle, did it again, is a grinder. She can grind. Yeah. That's why she's good at what she does. I wish I was more of a grinder.
I think Steve Nash, the basketball player, right? Yeah. He has a basketball camp in Canada. he has a basketball camp in Canada where he said that the biggest difference between those that he could tell right away if you're going to make it or not into the kind of the next level, and the difference between the people.
I gotta move. Sorry.
Okay. And
Kid has a class.
the biggest difference is are you willing to, if you get knocked down, are you going to get back up? Right.
Yeah.
It's that, and you can tell right away. So they put these kids in position to, to lose. Right. And then all of a sudden they're going to win. So the other thing is one of my favorite, motivational speakers, Billy Alsbrook. He talks about, this guy named Billy Alsbrook. He's this amazing, he does these amazing videos on YouTube, but one of the things he always talks about, and it really like sticks with me, is that, a real, like he says you shouldn't call somebody a champion unless they've lost, because he's anybody can keep going when they're winning, but he's a true champion. If you get knocked down and you lose and you come back and win again, that's what a real champion does. Because if you keep winning, anybody can do that. But
that's what
go ahead. He says that's what separates the real champions versus the ones that are just calling themselves champions. Because you're a real champion, you get knocked out, it's okay. You're not dead. You come back and you fight. And that's why he gets mad. He gets on Rousey and all these people. But it's like you get on I think that's important, because in real life, whether I don't care if it's sports or boxing or real life, you're gonna get knocked down. Yeah. Right. And you got to be able to get back up and fight, and I think that's what's really, really important, because there's always somebody who's going to knock you down. Yeah.
Joe Rogan says the same thing too. Joe Rogan, a while back said he doesn't care about the person who's super successful. He is much more admirable. He finds much more, he admires the guy who, picks himself up from the ashes and succeeds. The guy who's down in his luck and then, rises from the ashes. Those are the stories that he likes. And it's true. I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Those are true champions.
You should show, I'm going to send you some Billy Alsbrook stuff. You can play it for your kid.
Billy Alsbrook.
Because we actually, me and my son, when we go run, we listen to him, because it's, he talks about grind. He talks about every day you grind, every day it's like you have to love the grind, and that people are going to put you down, and you never talk about what you're going to do. You're going to do it. It's to me, it's inspiring stuff. It's like, get up early in the morning, beat everybody before they get up. That's what I talk about it with him. Like when we're running around at 7 o'clock, I'll say, look around, all of your friends are sleeping. All your friends are still running. Yeah, we're still running. Yeah,
that's awesome.
We're and I think that's he's doing good. We're I think we're at 35 for 5K right now, which is pretty good. But we're, but I think it's important to I totally. I think this is super, super important, and it's okay. Yeah. Well, let's hear the next. What's your next piece of advice?
Oh, as a child of color, not putting up. I'm teaching him from right now to be proud of who he is as a person of color.
Yeah.
I'm teaching him that for me personally, I'm teaching him to understand that don't let anybody put you down because of what you look like. My mom taught it to me, and I'm teaching it to him. Anybody comes at you because of your race, you have my full permission to kick him dead in the mouth.
Yeah.
Kick him right in that mouth. And, I don't believe in turning the other cheek. People want to hurl slurs at you because of your race. They need to pay taxes on that. And it doesn't include going to some damn racial sensitivity class. I hate those racial sensitivity classes. I don't know who created those things, but they're so stupid. People sit there and they just come out angrier than ever.
Yeah. Unless you're willing to change. If you're willing to change, then because I've heard those classes helping people that just never thought it.
I haven't.
Well, because I think it's a lot of times it's you're not inherently racist or prejudiced, but you just didn't know about something like transgender issues or homophobia stuff, and you're just kind of you've never been exposed, and so but I think but most people who go in, they're just I'm not racist. Right, so then it doesn't work, because you don't think that you're, but people who are open to it, who are I don't know why saying X, Y, or Z is bad. And then then you find out and you're oh, okay, I can see how that could be taken wrongly. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm teaching him. I'm also teaching him too, because I want him to understand that he can't have racist friends. Anybody in his inner circle that spouts racist stuff, he needs to get rid of them.
But what about that one kid?
Oh, they're not friends.
Oh, they're not friends. Okay, good.
Hell no, dude. No way. No.
I love that you knew who I'm talking about.
No, because he's had more than one. He's had more than one incident, dude.
Yeah.
I told you what Grayson did to him at the Cub Scout meeting, right?
Yeah. And what he did to
I
my
told
son.
him, yeah, dude. I that's one of the reasons why I wish you had joined Cub Scouts, just to have that confrontation, because it gets swept under the rug so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's not having it. Go ahead.
Oh no, I love that you have this advice. I think this is really important. I mean,
I would tell any parent, if you have a child of color, you teach them that no one gets to say what they want to without paying taxes on it.
Yeah.
If someone hurls a slur at your child, no matter how slight, they have to pay taxes on that. I've told Grayson, I would be more than happy to sit in the principal's office and have them explain to me why you stomped a mud hole in somebody. And I've told him, if you're ever in the principal's office and the principal says to me that, someone, hurled a racist slur at you and you proceed to kick the crap out of him, I'd turn to him and say, well done, buddy. And I'd get up and walk out. And then, and the principal was like, well, we need to have a conversation. No, there is no conversation to have. Especially if the other kid's not in the room, there's no way. There's no way. I've told him there's no way. I will always back him up. If someone hurls any kind of insult at him like that, I'll always back him up.
Although the good thing about who was I having this? I was having this conversation with somebody over about the good thing about the quarantine and this whole like staying at home thing is that I'm able to supplement the education with stuff around non-European history and literature in ways that I couldn't because of what they're learning. So we're learning like African American history that didn't exist, apparently. Doesn't really exist in school.
Before I forget, I need to get that guy's info. The guy from Atlanta who played football.
I have the books.
Because I want to get those books.
Yeah, they're great.
I need to get those.
But I think that's super, super important. It's what you're saying in terms of, like learning to love yourself, and that like, because you look at you look at our history and it looks like, no person of color has ever done anything important. And the only innovations have come out of Europe, Western Europe specifically.
Which is so bogus.
Which is like, things are like, things happen in Africa. Things happen in Africa. Things are happening in Asia, South America, North America before the Europeans came. And it's just, you just have to look at it. And I think that one of the good things is that we're able to do that now. And so I love that, like we were watching a video about, Malcolm X, and we're watching videos about Martin Luther King and about Japanese American internment, and really understanding, like explaining how they're different and what people thought. Because Martin Luther King was controversial in the 60s, right?
Oh yeah.
And then only when they looked at Malcolm and they're like, oh yeah, we don't want that. That Martin Luther King became something.
Yeah, it's so funny now because someone posted a meme about Martin Luther King, and it was big. They were basically saying if this was back in the day when Martin Luther King was marching, a lot of the same folks now who are talking about Blue Lives Matter will be touting the police, the Birmingham, Alabama Police Department. They'd be backing them. Yeah. And it's so true. It's 100. I want to post it so badly, but I'm trying to like be good, but it's so true. They wouldn't, all these people out here who are like anti-Black Lives Matter, they'd be anti-Martin Luther King without question. And they can't prove otherwise to me. And they'd be, like I said, they'd be supporting the police, the police department of Birmingham, Alabama. But race is a big thing for me because, for me, I was growing up being so insecure, and I would say insecure up until even in my early 40s, because of who I was as a Black person. I wasn't.
Hello?
I had all the goals in mind that, a lot of other, kids of color have, wanted to. Similarly, I lost who I was, and what it did was it got me no respect because I was consorting with people that I had no business be consorting with. I had no reason to be anywhere near them. But once I accepted who I was as a person, met the right person, and boom, here I am now.
Yeah,
big difference for me. And I want him to have that confidence because, he can have a conversation about race with one of his white friends, which is great, but for his white friend, it's not a life or death situation. They'll have that conversation, and then his white friend can go on with his life and never, ever have to think about that ever again if he doesn't want to.
Yeah.
He can easily make it in such a way that he never has to deal with a person of color if he doesn't want to. My kid doesn't have that option. We don't have that option, And so I'm constantly telling him that if people ask him who he is or what he is, because he's mixed, just tell me that you're a genetically superior hybrid, And I'm pounding that into his head so he'll have that confidence. So if someone ever says something to him, he can be like, "Hey, you know what? That's not cool," and proceed to stomp on them. No, I shouldn't say it like that. I mean, I'm not promoting violence, but I'm sorry. There's a fist in the mouth.
Yeah.
Typically has a lot better result. Is a much better. You get a much better reaction. There's no misinterpreting a punch in the mouth from someone who calls you a racist slur.
Yeah.
And I just believe that. Because they have to go around, they have to tell somebody what they did. They're going to go home with a black eye or, busted lip. What happened? Oh, well, I said something I shouldn't have said. And to me, that's the best gift you can give somebody sometimes. Because they'll think twice about saying it for the most part. And people are always like, "Oh, Martin, I don't know," and I'm like, and it's never a person of color who says that to me. It's funny. Some of my white friends, they get real nervous when I tell them that, I'm teaching my kid that if he's at school and someone calls him a racist slur, he has my full permission to kick him right in the mouth. I said, kick their teeth in, and I'll walk you to the principal's office. And some of them are like, "Well, you could always teach them." I'm like, I am teaching him. Turn the other cheek doesn't work. Kicking the teeth.
Well,
that kid has to go to his parents.
I do think. I mean, I think it works, but I think it has to be in conjunction with something that's like there has to be the threat there. Right, because that's why I think.
Dude, you call it. My son gets called the N-word.
Yeah,
he can go at it. That's violence in itself.
Yeah,
you can't get away with that. Going to the principal's office and saying that's not what you say, that doesn't cut it for me. That kid with a busted lip.
How many did you get in a lot of fights in school?
You know what? I didn't get in a lot. I got in a few, but I was tiny, dude. But apparently, I could fight.
Yeah,
I can fight. Because I lose my temper. When people put their hands on me, like my face, I just lose it. I go 0 to 60. And so when people learned early on, like I got in a fight in the 7th grade, I think was my first fight. And after that, some of the older kids were like, "Oh, okay, if you want to pick on somebody, you probably don't want to pick." Because I was the kind of kid that would pick up anything I could find. And I hit a kid in the head with a brick once. I wouldn't stop. A lot early on, and I kind of
you're cutting in and out a little bit. Are you in a tough Wi-Fi area?
I'm on the stairwell. It's a little bit tough. Is
there better? Are you going downstairs?
I'm going downstairs. This is a little bit better right here. All right.
Well, I want to hear some more advice. So tell me more advice.
More advice.
Or if you have anything.
Is that better?
Yeah, that's better.
Oh yeah. So we talked about race. We talked about girls. We talked about working hard. It's just some of the things that I'm trying to teach Grace. I'm teaching him to be open-minded. He's got to be open-minded to different things, like food, for example. This kid, man. Did I just say his name again?
Yeah, that's okay.
I'm teaching him. I want him to be adventurous. I want my kid to be adventurous. I want him to explore different things, different foods, which is next to impossible at this age.
Yeah, at this age it's tough.
Yeah, he has 3 things he likes to eat, and that's it.
Yeah,
and he's growing on them, dude. He is huge now. He's really tall and super muscular. If you see him, you'd be like, whoa. We went to a friend's house, to do the social distancing thing. And their kid was always taller than Grayson. Now Grayson's towering over this kid and outweighs him by 40 pounds.
Wow.
And they were just Jesus. Yeah. But I want him to be adventurous. I want him to be very open-minded to, trying different things. I don't want him to be this, I don't want to be a one city kind of kid, although LA is a great city to grow up in, but I want him to be adventurous. I want him to, try different things. I want him to love the arts. I want him to be, to embrace physical fitness, and which he has done to a certain degree because of me. But, he has to, take pride in himself. I want him to take pride in himself. I don't want him to, I don't want him to settle. And that's the biggest push we have with him, is getting him not to just settle, to do a little, to always try to do a little more, a little extra.
Yeah.
Again, things that I was never taught that I'm trying to teach him. And I don't blame my dad for it. But, things that I'm trying to do, I want him to, I want him to come naturally to him. because he is a grinder with things that he likes. When he likes something, he grinds on it. Like, for example, I know this, he likes to play Fortnite. And he will sit there and watch videos of other kids playing Fortnite to pick up tips. I don't know how he has the patience for it, but he will do it, and then he'll go into a game and use whatever techniques he's found. And the kids he plays with who are typically a little older than him, because they go to his school, they're always like, holy cow, wow, you know. And the first thing, you know, when I hear him online sometimes, the first thing I'll hear is, you know, when he's in there with a group of older kids, one of them will say, who's this? And they'll say, oh, this is, you know, they'll say my son's name. And they say, and then right away they'll say, yeah, but he's really good. I'm like, really? Yeah, he's really good. Because that's the one thing, you know, the one thing that Grayson will, one thing he'll do is he will take on, they do this 1v1 thing where he'll go one-on-one against somebody. I always hated doing that when I gained, but he's ready to do it, and he's not afraid to lose. So I want him to have that kind of grind with everything else. And he knows it too. Like, he's upstairs right now, you know, playing the piano, even though he's supposed to be in hip-hop class. Jeez. You know, and he said to me the other day, he goes, Daddy, if I worked hard on the piano like I work hard on Fortnite, I'd be really good. And I was like, yes, why don't you do that? I said, you'll never be lonely. And he kind of looked at me like, what do you mean? I said, if you can play an instrument, you'll never be lonely. You know? I think that's really, really, that's really true. If you know how to play an instrument, you'll never be lonely because you'll always have your music, you know? So.
Well, that's why I think, that's why that's literally why we run. Because to me, it's creating these little achievements that we could do, you know, before he couldn't run half a mile, you know, and before he couldn't run a mile. And then before, like 2 miles is like complaint, like we just hear complaining, right? Now, like we could run through, like, you know, we run 3.2 and it's like, he's not even sweating.
This is not without stopping?
Yeah, no stopping.
Really?
And it's just like, but it's like it's not as much about running or staying in shape for me, but it's more about like, let's create opportunities to be able to grow. I mean, that's what, like, I mean, for me in jiu-jitsu, it's like that first tournament he lost, and then he has something to win for and try for. And it, like, he became a way better jiu-jitsu guy the first time he lost, because then he understood what he needed to do to win. And now he goes to, like, when we go to Arcadia, and he, like, you know, he's fighting hard and not messing around, because, like, there's something, and I don't see him being a professional jiu-jitsu guy, obviously, but I see him being like, these are the lessons that I think are important. You know, it's like, it's not okay to get like a B in school. You know, it's not okay to like you need to shoot for A+. And you know, like, I still love you if you don't get A+, obviously, but that's the kind of expectation, because it's not about, you know, like, I know, you know, that school's never been about intelligence. No. It's how do you play the game? How do you regurgitate facts? How do you play the game? How do you, like, you know, like simple things, even with the teacher, even with the professor, like myself, like, if you talk to the professor, like, I always tell students, if you talk to me and you're like on the cusp of a B+, A-, I'm going to give you the A- because I know you. I'm like, oh yeah, Tom's a good guy. I like him. He doesn't deserve an 89. I'll give him a 92. And now he's an A-. You know, like, and it's not even like, I mean, and the thing is, it's not about like favoritism. It's not about
no. It's about initiative.
It's about like, oh, this guy really is into, and not because he's trying to brown nose, because you can tell when somebody's just doing it just to get a better grade. But it's like, you're genuinely interested. You know, you're like, we're interacting. I enjoy talking to you. You know, but like this is super important.
Initiative.
Yeah.
It's always a good thing. Taking the initiative is always a big thing.
Yeah, one of the things that we're trying to do now, we just started it today, which I don't know if it worked or not today, but we're trying to do leadership things now. And so we're doing running where, you know, I'm trying to have him be the leader of the run for me, to tell me, like, when, you know, because right now we have to like avoid people, right? So we have to like move from the sidewalk to the road to the you know, grass. And then he has to look at traffic, and he has to, you know, like, a lot of times we have to run not only on the road, we have to run on the other side of the road, and we have like trains coming and cars coming, and, you know, like, and understanding, like, being able to anticipate lights and anticipate cars and people, and then communicating it to me. I think that's really important. Being like, hey, street now, you know, sidewalk, and being able to tell, and keep it, because he has to keep me in mind, because I'm his charge, right? So I've been doing that.
Man,
I want him to be a leader ultimately. There, it's important. And I think because leadership skills, especially for Asian Americans, I mean, it's even more important, because our stereotype, you know, for all the positive stereotypes there are for Asian Americans, I mean, one of the biggest ones, the negative ones, is that we're not leaders. right? That we're follower, we're worker bees. We're great worker bees. You love to have us in your factory or in your office, but you don't want us to be a leader because we're not natural leaders. And so in a lot of ways, as Asian Americans, you have to speak up. You have to be loud. You have to be, you have to be like a strong leader. You can't be a silent leader as an Asian American, or else they don't respect you. Whereas like if you're white, you could be a strong leader. You could be a silent leader, and everyone's like, "Wow, that guy is so John Wayne-esque." Whereas like for Asians, they're like, "Oh, he's so quiet and he's so like introverted and he has a small penis." Like. Where so like you have to be loud. You have to be you have to be somebody who's like, get over there, like and be that kind of strong person. But anyway, those are So do you have any final advice that you wanna give out?
Oh God, I've been dying to come on this show too.
You've been on this show.
I know,
and you can keep coming on. Well, like I'll keep having you come back. It's fine.
All right, I want to.
Okay.
Final advice. I feel like I've said it, but I don't know. I mean, him. I'm going through the list now. Him being a hustler. Him believing in himself. Him. Not taking shit from anyone because of his race. Respecting other people. I guess that'd be the last one. Probably is respect. Not just respecting himself, but respecting other people.
What does that mean?
Treating other people with respect.
Okay.
That's a big. Respecting his elders. Sounds corny, but it's the truth. I want him to be able to respect his elders. I want him to be a good judge of character. I want him to be able to say what that person's doing is not right, and to shy away from people like that. That's one thing I want him. I want him to be able to distinguish between right and wrong, and not to waver on that.
Yeah, that's funny because my big pet peeve is that I think that so what I tell my son is that respect is earned. So like just because somebody's old doesn't mean that they get respect, but what you have to do is you have to be respectful. Yeah. So you should be nice to everybody and be respectful to everybody.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
Like respect is something that like, cause I know 90-year-olds that act like teenagers, and I are like little children, and I know 90-year-olds that are super wise that you could learn a lot from. And I think that like, and the 90-year-olds who act like babies, like for example, Donald Trump, he's not 90, but he acts like a 4-year-old. Like he deserves none of our respect. But like if you meet him on the street, you be respectful. It's okay. It's okay to be respectful, even if you don't like or respect the person. Like you shouldn't be an ass to somebody just because they're, But I do agree. I think that's super, super important. That you treat everybody with respect. And can I just aside like piece of advice around this? Yeah. I think that, and this obviously, but as a person of color, the thing that I think is really important, and this is not really for our kids, but for other kids, is that we understand that we could say for example that like that white dude is racist, and like and understand inherently that not every single white person is racist.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah.
Like, but that there are bad white people out there that we don't like that are going to try to hurt us. But that at the same time, they're not every single white person we know is a bad racist white person. And I think that a lot of times that's not like, especially for African Americans, people like that African American's a criminal, and therefore all African Americans are criminals.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's not true, because they're bad African Americans, they're bad Asians, they're bad white people, and they're great white people, and they're great Asian people, and they're great black people, right? And there's all different kinds, and we have to understand that there's not all of us are not one way. You know what I mean? And that's super frustrating because like I understand this, but like there's stupid Asian people. No, it's crazy.
How is that possible?
Yeah, but there's like also like really smart Asian people, and there's everyone in the middle, just like black people, just like white people, just like Latino people, just like gay people, like and women. Yeah, but I think that gets lost in that, and it's, to me, and the reason I bring about respect is that it's a matter of respect to me, because when you respect somebody, you take them for who they are, not for what you perceive their race, group, whatever, gender, sexual orientation, like that. It's like when I meet a gay person, I'm not automatically assuming they're like queer eye for the straight guy. Like I understand that they might not even like fashion. That's fine. They are who they are.
Yeah, that's cool. The truth.
Oh man, well, it was really great talking to you.
Yeah, man,
it was great.
Thank you so much.
We should do actually a best or worst with just us too, because it's nice to have some best or worst just with us. So maybe we can do an emergency pod when I get back. But,
Yeah. When do you leave?
we leave tomorrow.
All three of you?
No, just me and my son.
And the boy? Vegas, you said?
No. Tomorrow is we're going to Tule Lake. So Tule Lake was one of the internment camps that my family was incarcerated. So we're going to take a pilgrimage to Tule Lake. It's in like right at the border of California and Oregon. So it's like a super small town. I mean, we're doing like a huge huge drive around California, but I think it's like a 15-hour drive altogether to get
you
there.
And the boy?
Yeah, because it was my father and my father's family that was incarcerated.
Yeah,
for a couple of years. So, ultimately, it's like it's understanding kind of what's going on, and
you're such a good dad, man. Every time I leave this, I'm always like, oh, I have to be better.
No, you're great too.
Oh no, man! But you take it to the next level. Your son's running at 3 miles. He's doing these impromptu leadership things. He's jiu-jitsu.
Well, we need to. But it's like you. I mean, like I was raised with 0 rules and 0 expectations, and I think it took me a long. I mean, like I was really motivated as a child, but it took me a long. I mean, I was motivated in all the wrong directions all at the same time, and it took me a long time to kind of like understand. Because I always joke that by the time I was in my 30s, I should have been in college. That was like when I was mature enough to be in college, or when I was in college, I should have been in high school. Like I was mature enough for high school finally, and I think that
I can totally relate to that one.
Yeah, even though like I was already, acting like an adult, I wasn't an adult yet. And I think things are different now because our kids are in a world where you have to grow up a little bit faster than we were kids. But it's similar still. There's a lot of similarities. But thank you so much, Martin. Thank you so much for everyone for listening and watching this episode. Please rate the show if you can, and write a little bit of a review on Apple Podcasts. It'll be really helpful. And stay tuned to the next episode. Bye, everybody.
Bye.